I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
Oh, summertime pool parties. That's the American dream, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this summer naked edition of the Anti-Media Radio with your 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time host, Jake Anderson. And, yeah, summertime. Summertime's here, officially. Came in yesterday, signed all the paperwork. Signed all the papers, business papers, got it all figured out, man. And now, well, it's all about trying to relive your youth, because that's what summer is all about. That's all I really think about during the summer is what it was like to be a kid. Before I started thinking about fucked up shit. Am I right, DB? When did your mind go to waste?
9/11.
Oh, look at you with a fucking patriotic answer. Should I salute you?
Well, dude, I mean, everything before that was just so much better.
Yeah, I remember even like the quarter pounders at McDonald's were even better before.
Yeah, our dollar took a 50% cut on the day after 9/11. Nobody just nobody knows that. It took forever to hit. 2008 was like, hey, guess what? Remember what happened?
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, I wasn't old enough at the time. I didn't have any assets, so to speak. But I know my dad did. My mom did. And, that's the world we're a part of.
And no one fought because we had that common enemy across the ocean to be mad at, to blame for these innocent deaths. And that's really all it takes, man. It is that simple. We are that simple of a human animal, I guess.
Well, and what would need to happen? Serious question. What kind of detail or anomaly would there need to be in a terrorist attack for mainstream adults to be like, wait a minute, this feels fishy? We already saw two towers free fall into their own footprints and the 911 other anomalies on 9/11. And people accepted that largely because that was the first major terrorist attack on U.S. soil. It was shocking. It was just shocking. But nowadays...
And it was an abject failure because it did not collapse the financial system. That was the entire goal. The icing on the cake was just going to be the formulation of the action plan for the project for the new American century. But
yeah, dude, that's where money's at.
That was just the icing on the cake. The real goal was to collapse the Lincoln Tunnel and then the fiber optic cable be severed from Wall Street and collapse our economy. And in 2001, they wanted to usher in the microchip economy. Just think about how delayed they've been because of that one detail.
Right. So what do you think, what kind of financial records do you think were in WTC 7 that they were just like, hey, this is a happy accident. We're going to do this, and we're also going to get rid of all this shit, and we're going to cover it for the $2.3 trillion missing from the Treasury.
Was that a question, Jake?
Yeah, it was clearly a question.
Oh, what was in that?
What was in Building 7? Yeah. Sorry, I guess it maybe sounded rhetorical, but
dude.
I'm like, you gotta understand, DB. I'm post-rhetorical at this point.
It's your guess is as good as mine, dude.
This is a post-rhetorical age,
right?
Everything is literal and figurative at the same time, and you're also automatically offending someone the second you open your mouth.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can be offended at the General Lee Dukes of Hazzard car, you can be offended at anything. I mean, literally anything that has anything with any offensive connotation historically should be called out. And I mean anything. I mean, dude, if we're going to bring it all the way back, I'm starting to just clown people with this absurdity. Like, I'm starting to see this, oh, California should go back to Mexico. And I'm all, well, Mexico should go back to Spain, you dumb bitch. I mean, how far back do we want to take things? How stupid do we want to get?
You know what? You know what I'm laughing at? This shows how shallow I am. I'm literally, all I'm laughing at is, you dumb bitch. Like, that to me is funny. And see, that's not even politically correct. You can't even say bitch anymore, even though it's a funny word.
It's just a derogatory term for somebody, who's being,
We know what it means. The same way we know what.
But it's universal now.
The same way the same reason we know what the F word means. When you call someone the F word, you're not. It's not 98% of the time.
It's cis-friendly, Jake.
98% of the time, when you say that word, you're using it to imply like pansy, or just simply just a slightly derogatory name for someone. Because the reality is there's absolutely nothing wrong with being gay. The problem is that these words actually do have weight to them. And the best explanation I've heard for the F word was actually on the Louis C.K. show. And they were sitting at a poker table as an episode of Louis, and he's just railing that word into his gay friend, and they're all laughing about it, playing poker. And then they laugh about it, and they all make some great jokes. And then finally they were like, hey, does it bother you when we use that word? And he goes, it doesn't really at this point. However, and he goes in, you'd have to look up, I'm not going to do it justice, but the way he lays it out, I think, is a very good talking point for why certain words have power. And look, I finally watched the episode in which Bill Maher apologized for his use of the N-word, and which I think we could all agree was. And look, the point of anti-media is not to sit here and legislate political correctness, but it is a part of the culture war right now. So we do have to talk about it. And he dropped a hard R on a stupid joke, and then he had some of his black friends come on the fucking show, and it was the worst apology I've ever seen. I was so disgusted with Bill Maher. It was fucking seriously the most bullshit apology I've ever seen in my life. And, on top of his already Islamophobic, borderline bellicose rhetoric regarding the Middle East, and he bothers me. And I used to be a huge fan of him. I met him once. I shook his hand. I, practically sucked his dick in front of just verbally, not literally, but you
practically Dick Dolan'd him.
For all intents and purposes, I deep dick Bill Maher, but I don't know. It bothers me. Anyway,
you don't think him and Ice Cube hooked up in the back, do you?
Definitely banged. I want to move on. I don't want to talk about PC anymore. I don't even really give a shit that much about it. But what are we going to talk about? DB, is there anything in the news? I'm going to talk about like cool conspiracy missing person shit. But if we want to cover something in the news real quick, this is the time to do it. What happened this week? I don't really think anything happened.
One thing that flew under the radar, and I know that everybody is having a hard time focusing on the Circus Act, is Trump came out to Iowa, which is just right here on the border, and he had a rally, and he discussed something that a lot of people didn't put too much credence in, which is the new state of the art of agricultural technology. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Jake, but combines at this point don't need drivers. So the only thing farmers do now is basically supervise and maintain, and then they hire a bunch of people that work for basically nothing to come pick the crops. Because machines can't do that. But now they can. So I think what we're seeing is we're on the complete verge of, I can't even begin to describe what could happen if this new agricultural technology is actually just released instead of hoarded for profit. I think we can see an era of food, and not just food, but good food, organic food, stuff that doesn't make us sick, becoming so insanely cheap that it's going to change our lives within this term of Trump's, this first term, because for whatever reason, and it could just simply be that the leadership now, instead of being globalist, is nationalist. Just that easy of a change.
Oh God, dude!
I'm telling you.
Don't start laying some foundation for why things are going to get better under Trump, please.
Hey, if there were patents,
it doesn't have anything to do with Trump. Anything that was going to be rolled out like that was planned years in advance.
Maybe, but I still think the different regime won. I still think there's two sides to the same coin. So,
dude, it's just different billionaires getting rich. That's the only fucking difference.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but that being said, Jake, would you rather the ones that like the country, or do you want the ones that want the one world government? I don't know, man.
They're one and the same, dude.
Maybe we'll see. We have a chance to see, I guess. Right now what's happening is the safety net's being gutted. So obviously it's going to the military.
Yeah.
They're not ramping that up.
This is what the fucking Republicans always do. They fucking walk in and pretend like they're about small government, and then they rip the shit out of a bunch of they take from the most vulnerable parts of the population and redistribute it to the people that can afford 8 countries 4 times over. Yeah. I mean, it's like ridiculous, man. And that's like, I fucking hate both parties, but the Republicans are objectively worse. I mean, they are. It depends. I mean, libertarians. It depends on what political side of the political spectrum you're on. I for the life of me, I cannot understand anyone making an intellectual argument that we should be cutting money. We should be cutting welfare, man. It's like, dude, we're in the system we're in. Right. If you cut welfare, you're just a bunch of fucking sad people are going to die. Like, what's the point of that?
I don't know. I mean, well, they're just, I don't know, man. Honestly, if they're trying to get us to rise up and get the poorest people, the most desperate people to do something crazy. That's what they're doing. I mean, you keep people just happy enough, they won't revolt, man. They're screwing around, man. People are about to get pissed off. I mean, I think what's going to happen, and this harkens back to your point about the robots, them robots that are coming up here. Automation is going to, I mean, within short order, I mean, within a decade, I think we will see the ravages of automation making itself known in terms of the introduction of some type of universal basic income. I think it'll be very controversial, but I do think it will have to happen because there simply will be too many people losing their jobs. Well, you know how you'll get paid, though. You're going to get paid electronically, and the only way to access it's going to be at first maybe your phone, but eventually they'll tell you that due to theft and fraud, you're going to have that implanted somehow or some DNA link, because that's what they want, man. They want to be able to turn your UBT off, your universal income. We're going to all have that UBT, not the EBT. Whatever. And if there's a point, I think, coming up here very soon where if you don't have a particular nest egg built up, there may not be enough opportunity to create enough income to actually live kind of free. You're just going to kind of be at the whim of this ridiculous corporatocracy they're building up.
We already know billions of people are forced to live shitty lives because of the state of things right now. And even people that get to live good lives, like me and you, we're still trapped in a very, very censored, limited perspective. We're all, people like me and you, and presumably our listeners.
Jake, do you support a jubilee?
Let me just finish real quick.
All right.
We're vaguely aware that something is wrong. Not more than vaguely. We know something's wrong, but they've made it so difficult to identify what it is that we're just left with this constant sneaking suspicion that we're living in this really messed up matrix, and they're doing a really good job. I have to say, they're doing a really good job of making it of obfuscating what exactly the problem is, because there's so many problems that it's just like, how could we have a system this messed up? And this is the best on earth, supposedly. This is supposed to be the best on earth? Are you kidding me? Privatized education and healthcare, waged by demonic, predatory corporations. And look, all government's predatory too.
Best system on earth right now is probably South Korea, Japan, Taiwan. Those Pacific Rim tigers, and it's because of the economy. Yeah, because what they do, like for instance, are there billionaires in Japan? Sure. Are there 5 dudes that own more than half of all of Japan? No. So people aren't down for that, and the people at the very top, they love their country and they love being Japanese, and there's pride. And it's tough to have that in the way our country was founded. So it's just tough to emulate that. That's the highest quality of life right there, Jake. You have people at the top paying sometimes upwards of 90% tax and doing it with a smile because their society is strong and it functions. People have health care and college. And, my sister's over in Tokyo right now, and I said, are there any homeless? She said, there's a few. And they're all, they're almost all mentally ill. And if you just want a regular job, you're taken care of. If you work at McDonald's there, you can get an apartment. It's not a problem. And you have health care and all. So, I mean, it's just the dignity's there. We need to bring that back somehow. The way to do that is to tax the people at the top appropriately and to break up monopolies. Because in Japan, when companies monopolize, they don't just corner the market. They actually buy out other industries. And that way they can kind of grow sideways without crushing those underneath and destroying innovation. We have to get to something closer to that, I would think.
DB, I'm actually listening to what you just said. I'm actually a little surprised. I'm a little surprised to hear you so openly advocating for taxing people. This is a big, I think we're roughly the same on this side of the political spectrum. But there's many people in the anti-media community are anarchists and believe in the taxation as theft ethos. And I'm wondering, what's your take on that?
If it's principled, though, that's the thing. And I understand that for you as a person, if you're somebody that's intelligent, and again, I must stress that if you're an intelligent person, you're probably going to make decisions for yourself better than anybody else. But we all know that the vast majority of people out there are just not. They don't function at a high level, and they need to be led, but that doesn't mean they need to be ruled. And I think the appeal of anarchy is that no one rules you, but no one leads you. And not everybody's intelligent, and not everybody's perfect. And we all have holes, and we all need people to help us do things. Unless you're a true Renaissance man out there and you can mine the metal out of the earth to build the computer you can program, you ain't shit. We all need help.
Here's my logistical problem with anarchism, even though on a theoretical level I love it. And I actually wish we could have people call. I want to start having people call in. I really do.
Jake, if we were all like us, we could be anarchy in a perfect world is a communal society where everybody voluntarily does not only cross-trains so they can help in all departments of the community, but specializes and then trains their own replacement. That takes organization, which takes, unfortunately, government to tell people where to be and what to do. And are we going to get to a point where we're all psychics and we don't need this crap? I would love for that. But, I mean, how many millennials are we away from that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just look, to get rid of the state, you have to get rid of every state. Because if you don't get rid of every state, the state left will use its might and whatever is left over to take control.
Even
if it weren't insane enough to think you're going to dissolve one government, as hard as that is to do, particularly if you're talking about dissolving the United States government, which is, without even question, the most powerful empire that's ever been on the earth. It's not enough to dismantle them. Then you got to dismantle Russia. You have to dismantle China. You have to dismantle all of them. And throughout history, we've seen every time there's a major power vacuum, the state fills in. And the state is just a collective of people that are ruling via resources, which is very kind of similar to what a corporatocracy would be like, in which you have corporations would rule based on their use of resources. When you have a monopoly on resources, and of course they would have a monopoly, they would have greater access to resources than we would, the same way that a government would. I guess I fail to see...
The weirdest thing, too, Jake, is it could be done through acquiescence. It doesn't have to be done violently or through revolution. Like, there was a short novella I read back in my youth when I went through 50s and 60s sci-fi, probably a lot like you did. And one of the stories was...
Was it called Billy's Sweet Coming of Age?
No. But it was essentially what happened was... at some point in the future, humanity gotten to the point where they're like, these states and these countries are stupid and they make war and they're just idiotic. Let's all come together. And everybody agreed, except one group of women that had all been abused decided, no. That's never going to happen again to us. We're going to group together, but secretly. And of course, once they realized how many numbers they had, which were millions, and they were now a power structure where everyone else was in an anarchic state, they took the world over. And it would be something as absurd as that, maybe? No, but like whatever group is the most willing, whatever group exerts its will, do as thy will is the mantra of royalty, because they believe they have the blood of God in them. So they can do whatever the hell they can get away with. And that's been the power structure of humanity. The only way that changes is when we all have plenty. And right now, there's a bunch of us that have nothing.
You know what blows my mind, man? I think about it probably every day, is that there's all of this ego and all of this power and all of these human, this human power, very much manufactured power. And individuals consolidate, and it makes them feel better. And people base their lives, everything they do, off of this kind of like egoistic power. And yet everybody is going to have to give everything away. Everyone is going to lose it all. They're going to lose everything when they die. You're going to lose all the money, all the relationships. You're going to lose everything close to human existence. I don't understand this obsession with egoistic accumulation of everyone thinking that they deserve the absolute best. Why does anyone deserve the absolute best? We have too many people. We have too many people for anyone to be experiencing the best, much less a few hundred people experiencing the very best at the behest of people starving to death. I don't know.
I guess the one caveat to that, Jake, is that we're going to have a world-class, completely free online education through the best universities in the world soon, through pilot programs, and then there's $200 laptops almost everywhere you go. So the spreading of really, really advanced information that's practical is right here and right now. And now I guess comes the point of just kind of making sure as a collective of humanity that the people with the capacity to become engineers in some crappy part of the world right now that are starving can get to that laptop, and they'll, I'm sure you've read all these feel-good stories from like Free Thought and every other, alternative site about kids in Africa that get access to an internet database and teach themselves how to engineer something that revolutionized.
That's the name of my first autobiography, actually.
Right. I mean, we need that. That's what we need. That would fix everything if we had 7.5 million brains working towards something instead of half of them starving and the other half of them fighting over what's left. I mean, that's all we
saying the brains working together. It makes me think of a kind of hive mind.
A hive.
I think hive is I think human machine, human to human hive minds, and specifically in that order, it'll be
by consent. Though.
More, by consent, but of course it'll be by consent.
But it can't be.
But I think that's the future of community. I think communities are going to be these people that are interlinked. Their actual consciousness are interlinked, and it'll be guided by algorithmic artificial intelligence in a very.
You mean soul groups, Jake?
Yeah, you can call it that. That's a sexy way of putting it, man.
Well, I mean, I'm sure me and you are in that. I mean, sometimes you meet people and you're like, what the hell? I feel like I already know you. And that's because you're sharing a soul group. It's, it can be an astrological sign or whatever the hell you think it is that draws specific personality types. Just like they say there's only 12 personality types distinct. They're just all blends of one or the other. So.
There will be as many hive minds as there are internet subgroups.
Exactly. So an infinite amount that'll grow forever.
The same way that we're seeing it now, people huddled in their corners on the internet. Expand that by artificial intelligence, virtual reality, taking on an avatar, living in the
avatars will make things better though, because right now people avoid speaking to other people based on their physical appearance.
Totally, absolutely, man. That's a great point.
Yeah. And it sucks because I'm sure there's people out there that would be like my best friend, but maybe I'm intimidating to them or maybe they're intimidating to me in some weird way. And it's just like I would never think to say, hey, what's going on? Where that's all it would take. So
it's hard. It's very raw. It's hard to talk to strangers, And
it's tough on the younger generation. I'm noticing that these spinner things are like starting to sell because like all these kids are getting social anxiety around like other kids, so they need to like focus on something.
Stupid little bastards.
And it sucks because like they're getting an iPad when they're like 1 year old, and then that's like constantly like giving them back reformation. Like, hey, I'm giving you like stimulation for pushing this screen. Yeah, like. No kid is as cool as your iPad. I'm sorry. It sucks.
Yeah, man. I've seen people playing with the fidget spinners. We're going to get into some of these. I guess we can just keep on. Do you feel like talking about them?
Talk about these weird. Yeah, let's shift into that because these things feed like all these conspiracy deaths feed into what's going on.
Yeah, and this will be, I mean, shit. I don't know how many people are listening, but we could easily just use this time to, at some point in the very near future, I'm going to be interviewing you, by the way. Everyone, DB will be interviewed for my film. And one of the missing persons cases we're talking about, of course, is the Elisa Lam case. But that one actually isn't even the kind of one I want to talk about tonight. I'm talking about ones like Seth Rich, Michael Hastings.
Shit, dude! They even killed the guy that served the DNC election fraud lawsuit, Sean Lucas. Remember that guy?
Dude, so many people. So many. There's way too many There's way too many deaths related to the Clintons.
Yeah.
It's creepy. It defies mathematical probability, and like the Seth Rich case, it's like, come on, like, Jesus, release. I'm trying to research this. I need to write an article about it, but there's body cam footage that they haven't released where he's still alive. Seth Rich is still alive and breathing, dude. What does he fucking say? There could be surveillance footage from a nearby business establishment. This case is, man, I think we're going to, I think this case could be a creeper. I think it could creep up and change history because, man, it really, it smells so fishy. It was clearly either for retribution or to stop him from leaking something further. But like Julian Assange, he basically admitted I think he purposely did it. I think he purposely fed that information. I don't think it was a mistake at all that he said he mentioned Seth Rich's name and caused the interviewer to be like, wait, what? You know what I'm talking about? That interview where he talks about it?
Yeah, you can't, I mean, now it's become this 8 billion ton gorilla in the room. And I mean, now the Bernie Sanders camp is splitting in half because he's refusing to endorse Tim Canova in Florida, and he's running directly against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who basically tanked Bernie. I mean, destroyed any kind of DNC support he would have had, and
horrible. She's
just the worst. Period.
Horrible person. Yeah.
So anyway, Bernie's not supporting this guy, Tim Canova, and the reason why is because Canova brought up the fact that the Seth Rich death is obviously a study just came out that said that there's more likelihood a serial killer killed him than a random robbery.
Dude. No. Okay. So I read that and I was thinking about writing it, and Carrie told me that Carrie Wedler, our editor, said that basically it was all Republican group. That report. It was formed. That group was formed specifically for this case. Now, she doesn't say that means the information is wrong. It could be no different than, I mean, look how many fucking Democratic groups are saying that Trump and Russia were in collusion, It could just be,
the thing is,
you never know.
If they were, it was for altruistic purpose of not getting into a nuclear war with Hillary Clinton had she won. If Hillary Clinton was in office right now, we would be in an open conflict with Russia, and I'm sure that by now some kind of a nuke would have gotten launched. Why? Because that's what her handlers would have told her to do. And again, this is what I'm saying. There's a different regime. It's just a different side of the same coin. I'm telling you, man, it would have been infinitely worse. So whatever happens now.
Infinite is a strong word, my friend.
I would rather fight Russia than Iran. Is that an insane statement? Because that's what that means by voting in Hillary as opposed to Trump, which is now we're going to go after Iran. So yeah, either way sucks. And Bernie was probably, whoever knows, whatever happened to him. I think at the DNC they slapped him around, threatened his wife or something. And what would it take to scare that guy? I mean, he's not that kind of fighter. So now he's sheepdogging.
Tell him you're going to take his Judaism away from him.
Well, he's non-practicing like the vast majority of Jews.
Yeah, but come on.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I at this point we're bound for a reset anyway, whatever that may mean. So I don't care which political party's gonna drag us down in the mud.
Yeah, it's all the same.
I just think we have a better chance of personally surviving a war with Iran versus one with Russia. Just call me crazy.
I just don't. When this comes up, it just bothers me because it's like I don't. And when we talk about it with Claire, and it's just like I just don't see. I don't see either side of a U.S. Russia or a U.S. China ever actually nuking the other. I don't see it happening. I mean, I think because
Why,
it would take a massive false flag beforehand. It would take something like Pearl Harbor actually.
What if they shoot down one of our planes?
No, that's not enough. Not to nuke someone.
What if we shoot? What if
no one's
we
gonna
shoot
nuke anyone over a single plane, dude?
Well, I'm not just saying immediately, but I'm saying things escalate.
Yeah.
So, this is why I think that while MAD assuredly is a 99.999% effective means of preventing nuclear war, if a conventional war goes hot and we overwhelm Russia to the point where we can get all the way up to their border and start pushing into it, they would probably feel like they have to launch something.
What does
See?
anyone have to gain? What does either U.S. or Russia have to gain
Because these
from a
people
war?
are royalty that have been fighting for thousands of years on different sides. They have different gods and different religions. They hate each other. Their families have married each other to prevent war in the past. It's the same people. It doesn't matter if it's Russia or Iran, which is Persia.
But if there's a
Or-
giant, if you're talking about some kind of giant depopulation scheme in terms
What's
of
so big about a scheme of a war? Just start a war and you kill 3-4 billion.
because
and then-
you can die in a war, like
So?
the leadership can be easily.
Nah, they'll go underground. They're not going to kill each other. That would be beside the point.
I mean, it's like that's like dramatically changing their life to go underground, and that's like.
Well, what's worse? What's worse, that or what's happening now, which is this slow burn into them getting caught and having to go to trial
because
for
right now they're in their awesome little hotels, like
just for
you know,
now.
fucking hot blondes every
Just
single
now,
night,
yeah,
eating
just for now.
caviar off people's asses, like they're
But dude,
living these
if
dream
you're in
lives.
a Corvette going 150 miles an hour, it's so fun. But like, let's say you just have no money for that next tank of
Yeah, you
gas.
want to keep doing it.
But let's just say there's no more money. Like they know the ride's over, man.
You'd
so you
launch
might as
another
well.
war. That's why these wars are
Exactly.
fought.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing that can save a man is a war. That's it.
And there's
Or
going
like-
to be one. Does anyone really think there's not going to be another fucking war at some point? Are you kidding me?
No.
Have you seen the last 15 years?
And they're planning on a big, massive depop in the U.S. Russia and China are already like good for their underground facilities. We have nothing. I mean,
I don't think they want Depop. Honestly, I think Depop looks really sloppy, and it also could cause mass chaos.
they want it in the U.S. Let me put it that way. That Deagle report I've shared with you a couple times, where they have 2025 the U.S. pop at 65 million. That's the U.S. taking like direct hits and the EMP knocking our grid out.
Dude, I mean, I hope you're wrong, and I think you're wrong.
Why? Wouldn't
Because I actually do think there are people that are largely in control of what happens, and I don't think they're going to allow hundreds of millions of people to die, because that would change humanity. People will act fucking insane after that. They can't. They have no way of controlling what's going to happen if you kill 100 million humans, or much less 1 billion or 2 billion or half the population. Do you realize? I mean, that you're talking about basically like an apocalypse, and it's like that's a huge step to take. When they have complete control right now. They have complete control right now. Why would they
Jake,
need to do that?
What would happen if we lost our grid? What would happen if we lost our grid, and then in retaliation we hit Iran and North Korea and knocked their grids out? All right, so their right away is, I don't know, like 250,000 people just would eat it right away, just within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
bar none.
But why? But why are they going to be knocking each other's grids out?
Well, they'll nuke each other right over the atmosphere, so that way it doesn't destroy any of the infrastructure. It just knocks the grid out, so everybody can fight each other. There'll be a huge spillovers into other countries.
I hope not, because if this happens, we'll never get to outer space, man.
They're already there, dude. They don't give a crap about who's here. They're about to have another brain drain, just like the 60s. For another breakaway, and then whoever's left is going to be the new gene pool down here. Whoever's the strongest and the smartest who ever lives is the new gene pool down here. Maybe we'll be lucky enough.
I think, dude, I mean, come on. You know how big of a conspiracy theorist I am. I can't believe, with all these WikiLeaks and regular leaks.
But is WikiLeaks
a little
controlled at this point?
No,
now? I mean,
they could be limited. They could be limited hangout. I mean,
Has anyone physically seen Julian? Has he gone to the window of the embassy? Now they're talking about storming the embassy. I mean, you could be talking about brainwashing. You could be talking about they cloned him or whatever conspiracy theory. And look, I mean, did Pamela Anderson see him?
But I'm saying, shit. What were we talking about before this, man?
You were going to go into weird deaths.
Yeah, but why was I talking about WikiLeaks? Oh,
speaking
aliens.
of weird
Aliens.
deaths, I mean,
Like, why has there not been? If aliens are so present on the Earth, if there's 10 different species battling for control over the Earth or in the solar system, why the hell has there not been a single freaking WikiLeaks or any leak reliable leak? Like there's just people that come out of into the desert and get paid to sit there and tell you that they were told something weird by a dude with like clearance 5 in like a top secret unit in fucking Utah, and like
sounds like a bunch of BS.
yeah, it does, and that's what most of it is. That's what 90% of it is. But like, I mean, you think aliens are in the solar system, right?
Yeah, I mean, but there's just
This is a conversation better for Ghost Diaries.
Yeah.
But you
I
know,
mean, if we can talk about anything, I mean,
some of the anti-media listeners are into this shit, and I think it's interesting. You're not going to hear this stuff on the regular media, that's for sure. So it's definitely anti-media to talk about whether there's an alien presence. I mean,
it's
like
bubbling up. I mean,
I'm not convinced, but like I could easily be convinced. I read a number of books outlining thousands of UFO cases, and from what it looks like to me is the human civilization has a breakaway technological civilization that is doing some miraculous things in outer space, and the UFOs are probably humans. But there's a lot of people that fiercely disagree with that, saying that these things are doing things that are, you know, millennia ahead of us technologically. And it's just hard for me to believe that with this many sightings that are going on, that we wouldn't have some kind of citizen disclosure. And they did a citizen disclosure in Congress, actually. And, you know, look, I may be wrong on this. I could be wrong. You know, I'm willing to admit that. It just pisses me off that we still don't have evidence of it. It just pisses me off when there's no evidence of shit. There's too many realities going on that you can't prove empirically, and it just starts to drain me, man.
When do the FOIA requests automatically go through for the end of World War II stuff? I believe it's coming up here now at 70. I think it's 70 years.
Cool.
So 47, right?
Let's get on that, man.
What I'm thinking is that the Majestic 12 is going to lead everybody to where we're really at as far as the full spectrum dominance we have on a technological level through a deal we brokered with the last remnants of the Fourth Reich and letting a lot of them get to South America to live out their old age, taking in a lot of the people, letting Russia have some.
Is this Operation Paperclip you're talking about?
Yeah, Paperclip, and then High Jump to get the people that were the true cream of the crop that actually said fuck that to giving up and actually escaped. And they're the ones that had the saucers, which is the flying saucer. You know the book Flying Saucers is all about the 50s where American planes.
Annie Jacobson's shit?
I read her entire book, which she footnoted it great, but she omitted a lot of things. So, but whatever. That's
sorry. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. What happened is in the 50s, especially the 50s, American planes just went up and just never came back, and they were just getting shot down and actually like just never found by flying saucers, which were supposedly this breakaway Fourth Reich, you know, really upper echelon elites, the 1 or 2 million cream of the crop Aryan, you know, superhero types. They sent down to Antarctica where I guess there's caverns they could get into. So, and that we dropped 2 nukes. We dropped 2 nuclear bombs in 1952 in Antarctica. I can't remember that operation, but
see, that's the kind of thing, like, for God's sakes, like, there should be evidence of that.
There is. This is all real. Like, there's operations and there's everything. You can look it up. Just look up Operation High Jump to start with, and that was 47.
I'm familiar. I mean, I saw the presentations. I haven't seen any evidence presented.
Well, just you got to research it. That's all. You know, it's all in there. So,
dude, you know how it is. Other people research it and they present it.
Well, yeah, of course, unless you want to go to the Library of Congress. So that's an option. It's in
Well,
DC.
surely someone has done that by now, right? Surely someone would have done that and
Yeah,
presented.
there's books. I mean, Jacobson's the high-profile one, and she corroborates paperclip leading into high jump, and everybody's saying, "Oh,
I agree with you, man. I'm just chomping it. I'm just chomping at the bit here."
yeah." So that's the thing, man. It's just I don't know, man. We're gonna find out a lot
Here's
of things.
the thing. I want to believe so badly, because in my my worst nightmare is that simply it's too far to the nearest star system. That the reason we haven't heard from aliens is because simply the distances are too vast, and between star systems, much less galaxies, which are so far away that, and so that's my fear, is that we could be living in a universe that has, hundreds of billions of galaxies, probably realistically hundreds of millions of intelligent civilizations. Could it be that I just saw this thing on this science article about how our galaxy is like in a particularly large bubble of nothing. We're kind of like in a black hole.
Like a firmament?
Yeah, like a gap in the firmament. Yeah. And so that could contribute to it. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about some pretty high-tech technology to go between star systems.
Well, we're in a dimensionary pocket too.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Because we're only in the third dimension. We're actually kind of like tuned down. This is almost like at a negative frequency in as far as the spectrum of the entire universe we're in. So it would be logical that we've drawn the entities that seem to be running this world here.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a purgatory, people. I hope that you understand this is sort of a dress rehearsal. It's not a heaven and it's not a hell. Anyone listening to
the show that hasn't slit their wrist by now, thank you for tuning in.
Make the best of it. You'll get a leading role. The curtain will come up. Everything will be good.
Yeah, we
don't do a bad job.
Still 10 minutes, cool. Yeah, no, I mean it's like.
Next up is traffic report. L. Deed's our favorite, along with JT and Howie, and I think they'll have some new guests.
Oh, traffic report's cool. I thought you were making I forgot that was the name of their show. I thought you were making a joke on like we talked about this. Next up is the weather and the traffic report. I misinterpreted it, but yeah.
You pretty excited about that NBA draft tonight?
I honestly, I didn't watch it. Yeah, I'm not.
Are you a Timbers fan though?
I go in and out of sports phases. I was in a big sports phase for a while back, and now I'm kind of in like this 2-year slump where I just don't really give a shit about professional sports right now. Probably, I don't know why. I just don't give a shit.
Well, we'll have to go to a soccer match when you come out.
Yeah, we should, man. That'd be awesome. All right, so let's get in one case. We have time. So originally this show is going to be about mysterious murders and whatnot, and there's a bunch on the list. We talked about Michael Hastings for a second. Seth Rich is, I think, one that everyone is familiar with. And incidentally, all three of the people I'm going to name are going to be white men, which means that this show is sexist. And probably shouldn't even continue, actually. It doesn't matter. They should be gone. Are they white men? Well, thank God they're gone. No. Max Spears is the one I want to talk about because this and it ties into the extraterrestrial thing. So Max Spears is a UFO researcher, an activist, and he did speeches and whatnot. And he, shortly before his death, he texted his mom, if something happens to me, look into it. And then friends say he died vomiting like a black liquid. And so it's a very mysterious case. One that I want to look into a lot more. Such as I think it's fascinating. But he, there's all kinds of reports of how he may have had drug problems. I saw that written on the internet. I'm not substantiating that, but it's one of these cases.
Remember, he had the black goo in him, though.
Yeah, the black goo, exactly. And this is like a perfect horror movie setup, except that someone actually did die, and it's very, very sad. But it's turned into this huge myth, and really, I mean, honestly, the Michael Hastings and Seth Rich cases are probably better and more realistic because those are. I don't know. What do you think about Michael Hastings, man? Have you researched into that much?
Yeah. I mean, he had a Mercedes.
I'm really into that right now, man.
He had a Mercedes that had this OBD3, supposedly, which is this kind of a Wi-Fi engine management system that has some GPS little tricks. So if somebody steals your car, they can find it. They can shut it off. So what they did was they redlined him and cut his brakes. So I'm sure he went to slam on the brakes and nothing happened. And his engine redlined, and then they steered him right into a concrete embankment going like 120 or 30. Right.
And like WikiLeaks, their Vault 7 release, they specifically leak documents about how the CIA planned to know how to do that, basically to how to remotely attack a car, ostensibly for the purposes of assassination. And of course, for the purposes of assassination, is probably an editorial by WikiLeaks. But that's something the CIA was wanting to do. And Seth Rich was a big pain in the ass in the government. He was looking into some stuff that they did not want him looking into. And, he sent messages out saying, I'm working on my biggest story yet. And, it's a very that could be the first car hack assassination. Yeah, we might not find out for, 20 more years what actually happened.
The craziest thing about it was the engine itself separated from the vehicle.
Right. And
it was down like 20 feet away.
Yeah.
Which led to people going with the whole drone Hellfire, blew his car up, but that probably would have sent the whole car into pieces, and it was really just the engine. So I have no idea how they managed to plant like a little mini bomb in there too to all cap it off perfectly. But
we know they have the money, and they know they have the ability to pull this stuff off. Or maybe these are the unsung heroes of the government, of the people that the paramilitaries were so good they could kill American citizens without American citizens knowing about it. I don't know. That would be a morbid perspective. I hope it's not true. If you've been listening, if you're still listening at this point, I hope you still have some will to live. I personally think life is good, and I know DB thinks so as well.
There's opportunity in this chaos that's going on, and all I can say is that if you can make people's lives better right now and monetize it at the same time, you're going to be doing a great service for humanity, because most people are just cogs in this machine that's working every day to enslave us. And everybody I know that makes a living that's doing it on the internet, even if you are relying on stuff like AdSense, you are at least pulling away from this machine somewhat. And at Google, if it came to be that Google was the most powerful entity in the world because of AdSense, it's still a corporation with shareholders, and I guess it's possible that people could Bitcoin their way into Google shares and change everything.
Yeah, cryptocurrency is. That's 10 shows into one right there. I've gotten into cryptocurrency recently, though.
Why don't alternative media sites start crowdfunding and mass buying Google shares because it's AdSense that's driving the whole business model.
Oh no, that's a good idea though.
A little bit at a time.
What else? Anything else this week?
I don't know, man. I'm just really excited about those self-driving those tractors. It's pretty cool.
What the hell? A self-driving tractor? I don't know.
Yeah. That's the new agricultural technology that's coming out.
Huh. Well, it's certainly not the sexiest headline I've ever heard.
Well, you too can become a millionaire farmer. Get up here. All you got to do is sit on a computer and watch your combine do your work.
I don't know why that's so funny to me, but
hey, you're gonna have to eat the rest of your life, man. There's nothing you're gonna be able to do about it. So you might as well.
Yeah, we really do have feeding.
Even if you cyborg it, even if you become multimillionaire and can replace parts of your body, you're still gonna be eating to the day you die.
Yeah, I'll be consuming in some sense of the word. Well,
if you go vegan, because it seems like the world's shifting that way.
Yeah, as well it should. I mean, it's.
Well, you can fake everything. You can fake meat and cheese really, really good now. So
yeah, that's what we should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you can trick me.
The faking meat part means you don't fucking torture something to death and then kill it.
Yeah, torture the shit out of that soy. It likes it.
The soy, you're not torturing the soy, man.
I was trying to say, it would be so much better world if we just tortured soy.
I'm really defensive about this, man. Like,
no, but it
just triggered me, DB.
It is a shift, though, for me too. Like, I'm starting to focus more on just tricking myself with every way you can, because you can get around eating the meat. I mean, you can get around eating anything. You can use coconut spread for butter and milk and everything. I mean, you can get away from it all.
Perfect end to the show.
Traffic reports coming up, everyone. Stick around if you're still there.
I told you I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing, but call it a reality cause there's no illusion. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.
My name is S.M. Gibson, and I